Can you smell it? Take a big, deep breath in, and that is the smell of a national team season quickly approaching. And for a volleyball fan, this is the best time of the year. Now, as much as I love club volleyball, national team season is where it's at. And I mean, in volleyball, for better or for worse, we have the biggest, longest, most important national team season, it seems, out of pretty much any team sport. And now with that season upon us, it now means that the rosters for the summer are starting to come out. And the first one that we are seeing coming out is none other than fan favorites Japan. And the JVA came out last week and announced their 37-man roster for the 2026 international season. Now, of course, most of these guys won't be seen in the VNL or, at the AVC championship at the end of the year. This is the entirety of their A team and the B team that are going to join in for the camp, their training camp in May. But we're going to go over just some of the guys on the roster and give some of my predictions for this year for this team. And we're going to start off by looking at this team. I'm going to read through them as quickly as possible without trying to butcher as many names as possible. Okay. First off, and it's most of the regular guys that we've come to know and love on this team. Yuji Nishida, Taishi Onedera, Hideyomi Fukatsu, Kento Miura, Tatsunori Otsuka, Akihiro Yamauchi, Yudai Arai, Masahiro Sekita, Yudai Kawahigashi, Kentaro Takahashi, Shoma Tomita, Ran Takahashi, Tomohiro Ogawa, Yuki Ishikawa, Masato Kai, Go Murayama, Kaigo Nishimoto, Hiroto Nishiyama, Kazuma Sonai, Tomohiro Yamamoto, Motoki Iro, Alain de Armas, Larry Eva Badedan, Keihan Takahashi, Ryo Shimokawa, Rikuto Goto, Taishu Takeda, Kento Asano, Hiromasa Miwa, Keitaro Nishikawa, Yuji Kudo, Sunichiro Sato, Takuma Kawano, Ren Ichinos, Riku Ito, Kazuyuki Kami Takahashi, and Daiki Yamada. Now, hopefully I didn't offend anyone with those pronunciations. Now, as I said, mostly guys that we've come to expect. And then, there's some other guys mixed in there, but there's a few guys that obviously want to talk about. First and foremost is the return of none other than the maestro, the leader, the straw that stirs the pot in Masahiro Sekita. Now, he took the entire summer off last year, and I don't know if any person in all of international volleyball, in all time maybe, has had his stock risen as much as Sekita last summer by not playing. By not having him out there really showed how just integral he is to this team. His setting precision, the rhythm that he plays with, the way that he runs that offense. This team looked completely different without Sekita out there. And I honestly think that Sekita is one of the best setters in the game. I know I get some pushback from that, but when you watch him, to me, he might be the best pure setter in the game. With his hands, his release, his location, the way he just runs it. If this was a guy who was quite a bit taller, he would be considered one of the best setters of the game, no doubt about it. But it just shows you how good he is at his height. Like, what is he here? 175 centimeters. And I mean, that is generous. He's out there starting for this team. So having him back cannot be understated, just nearly how big that is. A couple of the other guys that we're going to see come back from this team who weren't there, throughout the VNL and the World Championships are Yamauchi and then Kentaro Takahashi. These guys are two middle blockers. They're two of their bigger middle blockers out there. And these are two guys who have the experience to play at that next level. I really thought that Japan last year, especially at the World Championships, they were really missing two guys in the middle who could, get to the pins and take away some angles against physical teams like Turkey, like Canada. And I mean, we'll talk about last year in just a second. But those are three of the guys who are returning to this roster and are returning in a big way. There's also a couple of guys who are new to the roster, specifically two guys that I want to talk about. First one is Alain de Armas. Now, he's technically Cuban. I'm pretty sure he will be naturalized as a Japanese player this year. I know because he obviously comes from Cuba, but he's actually been in Japan for quite a while, right? He went over to Japan as a 16-year-old to play at Myakono-jo Higashi High School. So he's been in Japan now for almost a decade and has been playing for Suntory now for 6 years. And he was actually a starter for Suntory last year as Slivka was injured, and he scored over 500 points. He scored 516 points as the P2 for Suntory last year. So this is a guy who knows how to ball, and I actually like him in the addition to this team. We'll see if he gets some playing time. Not too sure about that. The other guy is possibly the next big thing in Japanese volleyball. 17-year-old Ren Ichinos, and he's out of Shinsei High School. And if I'm not mistaken, they're the team that's kind of been sweeping up everything in Japanese volleyball recently. Japanese high school volleyball, which is huge. Japanese high school volleyball is absolutely massive. And it seems like he is the MVP of this team. And I've seen some video on him. I won't lie, he is smooth. He's smooth. He has a fast arm. It looks like he's got a lot of control, and he will be joining this roster, and this team will be training with the national team at just 17 years old. Now, I'm pretty sure this is his last year of high school wrapping up. I'm not entirely sure, what the ages are in Japan, but if he is done high school, I'm very interested to see if he's going to be joining an Italian league club or if he will stay and go the university route like some players do in Japan. So those are two of the newcomers to this team who I really think we're going to see maybe play a little bit down the line, especially this guy Ichinos. There's a few guys in the Discord who are really high on this guy. And you know what? After watching some video, I can see why. There's also a few omissions on this team. First and foremost, you have Masaki Oya, who was the backup setter for this team, both in the VNL and at the World Championships last year. He hasn't had a great season for the Sakai Blazers or Nippon Steel, playing alongside guys like Rinaldi and Matt Anderson. So pretty interesting to see that he wasn't on that roster. They're also missing Taiso Mizumachi, who is a player for Nagoya, fourth highest Japanese scoring player in the SVL this year. He is fourth behind Miyaura, Nishida, and Ran. So it's a little interesting that he is not on this roster. He's only 24 years old. However, it does sound like from certain discussions in the Discord that he's going to be more focusing on beach volleyball side of things. So that's definitely one that maybe this team would want to have. Next up is you have Amato Nakano, who was a backup setter this year for Barkham Lviv in the Plus Liga. And he played backup to Germany's Lucas Kampa, who is a very experienced setter. But I mean, there's a lot of hype about him when he came out. I remember when he came in to this season, one of the first matches this year, they played against Norvich Czestochowa, and he goes out there and beats a Luciano Jaceko side and then goes and takes a picture with him afterwards. It was pretty awesome. And then the other one, now I don't think that this is that big of a omission, especially considering we haven't seen him too much, but on Twitter, there's a lot of people wondering where Karen Masajedi is. And he is a 19-year-old who's, 205 centimeters, so he's pretty big out there, who played for Milano this year. However, he was rarely featured for Milano this year. He only appeared in 5 matches and in 9 sets, and he only scored 5 points with a negative efficiency on the year. So even though he seems to be one of those next level stars, it looks like the JVA and the Japanese national team omitted him from the roster instead of a 17-year-old. So that is a little bit telling. Moving forward, I do think that one of the big things that we need to be aware of, and one of the big stories around this Japanese team, will be the health of Captain Yuki Ishikawa. Now, Ishikawa is one of those OG guys who went over Europe, who played in Italy, and he really is like the catalyst for the growth of this Japanese team. But he has not played since injuring his right knee on February 1st. Now, it seems like it was a strain. Doesn't seem like there's anything torn or any surgery was needed, but there's big questions if he will be ready. I mean, people are wondering if he's going to be ready for the Champions League, and I think that's a little bit quick considering it's like in less than a month. But there's a lot of questions to see if he will be ready for the VNL this year. And to be honest, if it were me, even if he was ready for the VNL, I would want to sit him out. I would really want to sit him out. First and foremost, I want him to get his health right. I want him to make sure that he is 100% healthy, that he's ready to go, and that this is a guy who can lead them in 2027, in 2028, right? Comparatively to those 2 years with the World Championships and the Olympics going on, I think that's when you're going to need Ishikawa the most. And he hasn't been the most healthy. He hasn't played the most this year. So just let him take some time off. Second of all, now I really want to see some of these young guys for Japan, especially De Armas and Ichinos. If both of these guys can get some playing time, it might give us a better idea of what's coming down the pipeline for this Japanese team, right? Japan has such strong volleyball culture. I want to see some of the young guys coming up a little bit, not just the same guys that we see kind of over and over and over every year in, year out. However, I don't think that's going to be too possible. I don't think we're going to be seeing that at all. He definitely won't set out the AVC championships because as Japan hosting, they're going to want one of their big stars there. And with the Olympic berth on the line, they're going to want to make sure that he is playing and ready to go. But that's just a bigger reason for me to let him set out at least some of the VNL. With this list, he'll be out there and he'll be on the roster and he'll be available to play. But it'd be nice to see him sit out at least a little bit. Now, Japan did have a disappointing 2025 season. I don't think there's any way around it, right? They failed to get 3 straight medals at the VNL after they lost to Poland in the quarterfinals. And then everyone remembers how they crashed out in the group stage at the World Championships. And now I know a lot of Japanese fans were up in arms and completely, astonished by this, but you guys have to realize that this is not that unexpected for Japan. When you look at their results over the years, this is pretty much normal. The Japanese team really hasn't started seeing a lot of international success until about, after COVID. When we're looking at world championships, this is a team that generally finishes an average of about 13th place. They haven't finished in the top 10 since 2006 when they hosted this event, right? They got 9th in 2002, but other than that, we're seeing 13th. Didn't even qualify in 2014, 17th, 12th, 23rd this past year. So losing out in the group stage, while it was bad for this particular Japanese team, is actually kind of normal for the program and in general. It's the same thing on the VNL side. Before COVID, this was a team that was averaging 10th place, and now they've gotten so much better after 8 years of Philip Blaine. But even when you're looking at the World League, rarely did they finish, in the top 10. So I think some Japanese fans need to calm down a little bit and understand that this is kind of normal. International volleyball is very, very hard, and Japan has made huge strides over the past few years. And now, there was a lot of criticism on head coach Laurent Tilly after the 2025 World Championships. And there was a lot of people saying that, hey, the style of play that he was running wasn't good enough. They were criticizing his, aversion to making subs, especially in the game against Canada at the World Championships. Myself, just the way that he talked to the press after that first loss against Turkey, I was like, this guy seems a little too relaxed. And, there's some reports coming out of the team as well, too, that he kind of maybe dumb things down, is not the lot less information being given to the athletes. And that wasn't really the style of play and the style of coaching that they were used to. So there's going to be a lot more pressure on this legend of coaching. And I mean, if you're not aware who Laurent Tilly is, he is the godfather of French volleyball in a lot of ways. He built the current French team and system that we see right now. He led them to the 2020 Tokyo Olympic gold medal. And I mean, he's also the father of Kevin Tilly. But one of the reasons why I said I don't think we're going to see a lot of change and a lot of experimentation with this roster as much as we'd like to is, first and foremost, foreign coaches aren't really known for bringing that change in, right? Foreign coaches are known, they're brought in, especially a guy with the pedigree of Laurent Tilly. They're known for coming in and winning. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to come in and win, and that's what you're judged on. You're not judged on developing some guys. And the second thing is, now Japan is arguably the most scrutinized team in the world, and results matter. Results matter even when they don't matter. And especially after what happened last year, Tilly's going to want to go out there and prove that this team can win, especially leading into the World Championships in 2027 and the Olympics in 2028. Now, personally, I don't think Japanese fans should be too worried about this season. Yes, you've got Olympic qualifying on the line, but you're sitting in a pretty good spot, mainly because even if they don't qualify this year, which I think they will, the next step to qualifying and how you fill up those spots afterwards is based off of world ranking points, and Japan does really good in that. There's a lot less pressure for Japan, in my opinion, this year because A, the VNL is the VNL. it's a fun event that doesn't actually mean anything other than for world ranking points. And Japan has done pretty well at the VNL the past number of years, right? They've got pretty much the same roster. They know how to play that tournament, and their style of play really suits the team well to succeed during the intercontinental stage and qualify for the finals. And then the other thing is going to be the Asian Championships. And now this is going to be a tournament that A, they are going to be hosting in Fukuoka, and B, they've traditionally done really, really well in this tournament. They are the team that has the most championships in the ABC Championships of all time. And especially when you dive into it a little bit deeper, I mean, China isn't there yet. This is a team that's building up, but they're not quite there yet. Korea and Australia are dumpster fires. And then Qatar, who got bronze in 2023, I mean, they're going to be decimated by the new naturalization rules, right? So it's going to be very interesting to see what that Qatari team looks like. So the only other team that they need to be worried about is Iran. And now with everything going on in Iran at the moment, it is understandably, we don't entirely know what that team is going to look like. And I think it's going to be either two things. On one side, we're going to see potentially an Iranian team that's in a bit of disarray, which, would be understandable. Or on the other side, we're going to see an Iranian team that is galvanized and wants to win for their country. Regardless, I honestly think that Japan has a pretty good shot of winning this tournament, especially playing at home. I mean, they won it last time against Iran on their home court. So I'm really interested to see how that tournament will go ahead. And I'm pretty sure we're going to see Ishikawa and all the stars for it. But I'm not too worried. If I was a Japanese fan, I wouldn't be too worried, because I think they're honestly sitting in a pretty good spot to bounce back this season. And if they can take care of business this summer, they'll be all set to make a solid run over the next few years to really prove to everyone that they're one of the elite teams that, all the weebs out there think that they are.